Pokémon Sleep is a game about making big numbers get bigger. The main number to inflate is your Snorlax strength score, but what many players fail to consider is the number in their wallet. Several Pokémon specialize in filling your wallet, but do so at the expense of strength to Snorlax, so are they even worth using? That's the question we'll be answering today. In Pokémon Sleep, the main currency for raising Pokémon is Dream Shards, which when paired with Species Candy are used to raise a Pokémon's level. If you play casually, you might not have run out of Dream Shards before, especially if you've been playing Sleep for multiple years. In turn, this would make you, like me, question the existence of skill specialists that have the Dream Shard Magnet main skill, meaning that all they really do is generate a measly handful of Dream Shards. Why does fan favorite Lucario have such a pointless skill? Why do the game developers keep increasing the max level of this skill? Why do we have entire events to make this skill stronger? For years, I have asked myself these questions, but one day I actually asked someone else, and the answer is rather interesting. Aside from raising Pokemon, the other main use of Dream Shards is increasing the size of the cooking pot when you reach new Sleep-style dex goals. This is likely the casual players only encounter with absurdly steep Dream Shard costs. The later expansions cost over 1 million Dream Shards each, and even then we'll likely see more expansions someday that cost multiple million. If you've been playing a while and only invest shards in Pokemon on occasion, this will eat most of your Dream Shards, but you might still be able to handle it. But on the note of raising Pokemon, the real Dream Shard sink is Candy Boost. Candy Boosts occur during some events and allow you to double the EXP value of a candy at the increased cost of Dream Shards to use it. These are particularly useful when you have excess Dream Shards and not a lot of Species Candy. Throughout the year, we have mini Candy Boosts, which are typically limited to 50 per day, and double Candy EXP at the cost of 4 times the usual number of Dream Shards. This means you can boost 350 candy over the course of the week. Usually around Christmas, we get a proper Candy Boost, which works the same except you can boost 500 times per day, and the Dream Shard cost is 5 or 6 times the norm. Candy Boosts are very useful at lower levels, because not only do Pokemon get increased EXP per candy below level 30, but the Dream Shard cost per individual candy increases as the Pokemon's level does. However, EXP gained from the candy remains the same, so it's effectively cheaper on Dream Shards to boost the Pokemon while they're at a lower level. Candy Boost can be extremely effective to raise Pokemon quickly, as 2 is a very strong multiplier. That being true, 4, 5, and 6 are incredibly steep multipliers, and to use all your Candy Boosts you're going to need a lot of shards, which brings us back to Dream Shard Magnet. There are 5 skill specialists in Sleep with the Dream Shard Magnet main skill: Persian, Lucario, Sableye, Swalot, and Holiday Pikachu. The main skill has 2 slight variations, but they function the same on a practical level. There is a notable difference in the output of the Pokemon, however, and unfortunately Lucario isn't near the top of that list. Of the Dream Shard Magnet skill specialists, Swalot is the strongest producer, followed a bit behind by Sableye. So, considering Swalot as the prime candidate for skill-based Dream Shard production, let's compare this to sleep-based Dream Shard production. Dream Shards from sleep sessions vary through the week and depend on your total drowsy power, but some calculations have been done by user this user, whose work I will link in the description. In later areas of the game, you can expect around 110,000 Dream Shards if you hit 2 million strength at Amber Canyon or 1.5 million strength at Greengrass Expert. Fortunately for our math, this is about equivalent to running a max main skill level Swalot on the team during the day for a week. Before I continue to the deeper math, I should talk about the Swalot investment. To start, you'll need a good Gulpin with enough skill trigger and speed investment, and make sure you're happy with it because the next cost is 6 main skill seeds to max out its main skill, which is the largest cost. At level 8 main skill, however, as mentioned, one good Swalot can about double a week's worth of Dream Shards depending on your strength building capabilities. To do this, however, it needs to occupy a team slot during the day. You don't need to run it overnight, as it will only ready a maximum of 2 skill triggers overnight and only lose out on maybe 10% of its overall production. This lets you use other Pokemon that you want to invest hours in for good night ribbons, but it also means you'll need a good energy for everyone healer on your team to keep Swalot's energy up, as swapping it out means it won't recover any energy from sleep. In a pinch, you can use it overnight to restore its energy. Several other players I spoke to said they run normal teams for about 3 days at the start of the week to get Snorlax's strength up, so the Dream Shard production from sleep is set for the week. Then use Swalot on the back half of the week. So, with Swalot usage out of the way, let's talk numbers. If you don't like math, you can probably skip to the end of the video for my conclusions, but otherwise, here we go. If we use 110,000 as a baseline for both weekly Dream Shard income from sleep as well as daytime Swalot, our calculations become simpler. Since Candy Boost is an annual event, we should also consider that Swalot generates about 5.72 million Dream Shards a year, but assuming we won't use it for events, let's also consider it generates 2.86 for 6 months over a year. Pokemon on your team will get 100 EXP per day, assuming you get a full sleep score and a nature that doesn't affect EXP. This is 700 EXP per week, and including good sleep days, which give a bonus of 400% across 3 days every month, that equates to 41,200 EXP per Pokemon per year. This individually applies to the 5 Pokemon on your team. Assuming daytime only Swalot won't be detracting from this number either. Assuming a nature that is EXP neutral, a Pokemon gets 25 EXP EXP per candy used, so we can equate 4 candies to 1 night of sleep. Now let's look at normal and boosted candy Dream Shard costs to level up a Pokemon that isn't a pseudo-legendary, legendary, or mythical, and has an EXP neutral nature. I'll show the numbers on screen rather than read them out, but of note, Mini Candy Boost is only twice as costly per level range since the EXP is also doubling, meaning you only need half as much candy for that range. So to get from level 15 to 65, a normal increase takes 2,433 candy and about 988,000 Dream Shards. Then when boosted, it requires 1,216 candy and about 1,974,000 Dream Shards. So with our numbers in hand, equating 1 week of Swalot to 1 week of sleep as 110,000 Dream Shards, which is also 5.72 million Dream Shards per year, the Dream Shard cost of a level 65 Pokemon is about 9 weeks of Dream Shards, or about 2 months. The candy cost of such is 2,433 candy, which is about 602 nights of 100% sleep score, or 1 2/3 years. The Mini Candy Boost Dream Shard cost of a level 65 Pokemon is then about 18 weeks, or 4 months worth of Dream Shards, and the candy cost is 1,216, or about 304 nights, or about 10 months. That's a very long time to wait, so naturally using Candy Boost is recommended, especially on Pokemon with slower EXP curves. So, considering these equivalencies, let's draw some conclusions. Considering the large amount of EXP accrued from Sleep Session, as well as the Goodnight Ribbons, the minor losses of daytime only Swalot aren't too bad. For now, it's recommended to use candy to raise Pokemon rather than just letting them level up via Sleep Sessions, given how long it takes to raise just one, especially if you swap Pokemon for different strategies. 1,216 candy to boost a Pokemon at level 65 is already a massive amount, so boosting to get to higher levels seems recommendable. If we run a daytime Swalot for 26 weeks out of the year, it should produce in the ballpark of 2.86 million Dream Shards. If we consider 5 times Dream Shard cost for the Holiday Candy Boost, it takes about 2.47 million Dream Shards to hit level 65, so we can roughly equate 26 weeks of Swalot to 1 level 65 Pokemon per year, or 1.25 times Pokemon if we're using Mini Candy Boosts throughout the year. If you're not boosting, you can double the number of Pokemon, but you'll also need to double the number of candy you need. This can be viable for common Pokemon if you have an active friends list and have played for a while. For instance, I took my Quaquaval to level 60 without boosting because I had the candy on hand. The next line of thought is using multiple Swalot at once. In addition to the upfront cost of investing in more Swalot, running more Swalot means less strength being produced for Snorlax, meaning less drowsy power and Dream Shards from sleep sessions. There appear to be diminishing returns for using 2 or 3 Swalot, and while using 4 Swalot could make up for the lost in Dream Shards, it also requires investing in 4 Swalot, as well as settling for worse spawns each morning from the reduced drowsy power. You'll also get fewer species candy to use on your Pokemon. Personally, I would also consider running only 4 Swalot a day to be a bit uninteresting. For a single Swalot though, if you can stomach the upfront cost of hunting one and then using 6 main skill seeds, it could be worth it, but probably won't be for everyone. If you're a numbers-based player who invests in a lot of Pokemon, this might be for you. If you're a casual player who only wants to use their favorites, this strategy might not be as fun for you or help you that much. Running the calculations, if you can spare the candy, then later game natural Dream Shard income will pay for about 6 level 65 Pokemon a year without boosting, though for most Pokemon just hitting level 60 will be plenty. As stated, the Dream Shard cost per candy used at higher levels increases, but the EXP from Sleep Sessions offers the same amount for the same requirement. Anyway, that's all I have to say about Dream Shard Magnet. It is more useful than I originally thought, but has notable barriers to entry to be viable. What do you think about the main skill? Do you use it? And if so, how? Let me know in the comments below. Also guys, hear me out, Honchkrow still produces like 40% as many Dream Shards, but also produces like a ton of ingredients and also requires 1 less main skill seed.